A first-of-its-kind matchup happens right here tonight at Notre Dame Stadium. It's the Fighting Irish and the Indiana Hoosiers in the first round of the college football playoffs. And yes, it is late December. It is cold. It might even snow. But you know what? We're from Indiana. We're used to this. Some might even call it seasonal. And yes, this is the season to be merry and bright and to play a little college football tonight, right here at Notre Dame Stadium. WSBT22 News at 6 from Notre Dame starts now.
First, fast, accurate. You're watching WSBT22 News at 6.
And you are looking live at Notre Dame. This camp is abuzz on this Friday evening, getting set for a first-of-its-kind event as 2 hours from now, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Indiana Hoosiers will meet in the first ever college football playoff game held on a conference campus. And it will happen right here in this beautiful setting behind us, the Cathedral of College Football. Welcome to WSBT 22 News at 6, everyone. I'm Pete Byrne, along with Juliana Farfarley. Juliana, this campus has been building towards a fever pitch all day. Just a phenomenal atmosphere.
Yeah, we've been talking to fans all week long. Everybody excited. This is only the 30th meeting between these two teams. IU fans, Notre Dame fans, everybody's excited here tonight.
Yeah, and the first in 33 years. We're going to talk more about that tonight. But more importantly, the first ever college football playoff game held here on campus. And in the history of Notre Dame football, when you think about its place among the college football greats, it is very rare to have an experience that has never happened before, but that is what we have tonight. And in talking to new Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bavacqua earlier this week, he realizes that tonight has the potential to be unlike any other in Notre Dame's history.
You know, people always ask me, what's the best sporting event I've ever been to? And I've been lucky, you know, because of what I've done professionally. But I always have an easy number one. And I graduated in the spring of '93 and came back in the fall of '93 for that great Florida State game with Charlie Ward. And that's where my expectations are heading into Friday, that type of atmosphere where it felt like the whole country was focused singularly on a sporting event. And I think because we're the first game, because it's in Notre Dame Stadium, because it's going to be this great intrastate game on prime time on a Friday, I think it really has the chance to be a spectacular moment in sports and a spectacular, hopefully, moment in Notre Dame sports history.
And, of course, for something to be truly spectacular in Notre Dame history, it will have to include a Fighting Irish win. We'll have to wait a few more hours to see if that lives up to it. But right now, everything else certainly living up to the hype that we expected all week long.
Yeah, and Pete, there's no denying it is cold out here at Notre Dame Stadium, but that did not stop the tailgaters and the fans. They started lining up early this morning, including off campus. WSBT 22 Sean English is joining us live from one of those off-campus tailgates. He has been out there all day long. Sean, what's it like right now at this hour?
Yes, I've been out here all day, and the energy has just continued to climb these last few hours. Now, tailgaters of all kinds are out here braving the cold temperatures, waiting for a chance to cheer on the Irish or the Hoosiers. And both fan bases were very well represented near the Belmont Beverages tailgates in their parking lot. But this is no ordinary tailgate, as this is the latest in the year Notre Dame has hosted a home game. One family brought out the ideal tailgate mobile, a converted fire truck with TVs, speakers, and seating on the roof. The owner of the fire truck says the fun vehicle is for all to enjoy.
I just think it's so special, and I think that some people hesitate to come check it out, but the more the merrier, and we welcome everybody. We have a sports bar, and I think that we carry that to the tailgate, and we just want people to come have a good time. So even if you don't know us, you don't know who's running the show, just come hang out.
And we are less than 2 hours away from game time, and the crowds are really starting to pick up around here. A lot of people are walking around, and there's a lot of people that are not going to the game that are going to continue tailgating and having a good time out here in all these parking lots off campus. But for now, reporting live in South Bend, Sean English, WSBT 22 News.
Yeah, we are definitely bundled up here tonight. The last time these teams matched up in 1991 was 86 degrees. That is not the case here tonight.
Yeah, just a little warmer that time. Of course, that was the season opener. This is going to be the season ender for one of these two teams. But you had a chance to speak to a couple guys that played in that game the last time they met, which was 33 years ago now.
Yeah, we took a trip down memory lane, talking talking about what that game meant, how it set the tone for that entire season, and also how big of a game it is here tonight. Aaron Taylor and Greg Farrell were on opposite sides of the field on September 7th, 1991.
1991 playing against Indiana is a memory I'll never forget because that was my first start in Notre Dame Stadium. I was a true sophomore. I was built like an apple with toothpicks stuck in it.
Taylor, a true sophomore, remembers legendary coach Bill Walsh broadcasting in the booth. Walsh recognizing his potential from the beginning.
And he said in that game that the coaches are really high on this kid and he could have a future as a pro football player. And I was like, what? And that was the first time I heard somebody with credibility associate my name with the NFL, and I hadn't even had a start yet.
Greg Farrell in crimson and cream was suiting up to play his final season with the Hoosiers.
And so I've known Rick for a number of years. And then to go against him and go against, Notre Dame at Notre Dame was, obviously something we look forward to through the summer, through our training.
Taylor and Farrell both look back on that game as one that would set the tone for the season.
I got tingles right now as I'm talking about it because you only get so many of these opportunities in your life.
Notre Dame won that game 49-27. That Fighting Irish team was filled with players that would go on to become household names.
And so, it was a good game until we ran into a future Hall of Famer by the name of Jerome Bettis, who was a sophomore, and it was like trying to tackle two redwood trees moving at 25 miles an hour.
The Indiana team would see success of their own.
We knew we could play, and that's really what set our season off. We ended up going to the Copper Bowl that year.
The teams now meeting for the first time in more than 3 decades. The Hoosiers will make their first college football appearance in program history, and Notre Dame is making its third, but its first under Coach Marcus Freeman. Whether you're rooting for the Fighting Irish or the Hoosiers, expectations are high. Many hoping this game is just a preview of what college football will continue to be in the state of Indiana.
All these years later that now Marcus Freeman and Kurt Cignetti's teams are wanting to accomplish their dreams, and they're going to have a big stage to do that on Friday night.
And of course, they're not the only guys that remember that game well. I was there as well as a young teenager. Of course, growing up here in South Bend, was a huge Notre Dame football fan. And I've seen many great games, but I'm certainly looking forward to the atmosphere and the matchup that plays out here later tonight.
Yeah.
And welcome back. WSBT22 News coming to you live tonight from Notre Dame as we are now less than 2 hours until kickoff between Notre Dame and Indiana. We're joined now by our reporting partners from Inside ND Sports. I have co-publisher Tyler James with me. Tyler, we've been talking about this game, looking forward to it for almost 2 weeks now. When the football actually meets the foot tonight, what do you think are the keys to this playoff matchup?
Yeah, I think it's really going to start on the offensive and defensive lines for both teams and who can win those battles. I think both teams have done well for themselves this season on those sides of the ball and up front, and it's going to be a battle of who can sort of move the line of scrimmage and control the line of scrimmage tonight.
And we spoke to Aaron Taylor earlier this week. He said he sees strength on strength when Notre Dame's run game goes against Indiana's run defense. Yep. How critical is that for both sides?
Yeah, definitely. I think Notre Dame needs to run the football. I think IU's going to try to make Notre Dame to pass some, but I think Notre Dame's going to still have to find a way to get the ball in the hands of Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Riley Leonard and let those guys make plays with their legs.
One thing that both these programs have been so good at throughout these one-loss seasons is taking care of the football. Notre Dame has been plus in the turnover margin over almost every week. So is Indiana, but they weren't the one time that they got tripped up at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see who makes the first mistake tonight. I mean, maybe there won't be any mistakes from either team, but on a stage like this, someone usually blinks first, and I think that will play a lot into the sort of the script of this game that's played. So who makes a mistake, whether it's on special teams, on offense, or defense first, but a turnover will be critical to getting some momentum for whichever team is able to force it.
And of course, when it's cold out, temperatures in the 20s, sometimes the fingertips aren't great when the ball's coming in. Yeah, it's going to be critical tonight for sure. Lastly, I think we're all curious, how does Indiana handle this big stage? This is the first of its kind game, but Notre Dame has played in so many big games in recent years. For Indiana, this is kind of a hello to the college football world.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly Indiana didn't hold up against Ohio State in a similar situation. Obviously, a big moment on the road. There was some talk from Indiana after the game of how they were impacted by the crowd noise at Ohio Stadium. How will they handle the crowd noise here in Notre Dame Stadium tonight? I don't know if it'll be quite as loud as it was in Ohio Stadium, but I'm expecting a strong showing from the Irish fans, and we'll see how IU holds up against that hostile environment that they'll be meeting in tonight in Notre Dame Stadium.
Certainly going to be fascinating to watch. Tyler, thank you tonight and always for your coverage along with us.
Of course, happy to be here. I get to go in the warm press box after this. So
and enjoy it. I'm very jealous. So you can see more from Tyler and Eric anytime at InsideNDSports.com. And right now we need to call a quick timeout, but when we come back, we are going to take a closer look at your game day forecast. WSBT 22 News at 6 is back right after this.
This sports segment on WSBT 22 is sponsored by Beacon Health System. Now, sports with Pete Byrne.
Welcome back. Sports coming to you live tonight from outside Notre Dame Stadium. I'm Pete Byrne along with Bennett Wise. And Bennett, we have been talking with the Irish for the last 2 weeks. Looking forward to this playoff matchup against in-state rival Indiana. And while the geography makes this thing certainly very unique and intimate in a way, this is a huge game on a broad scale. Easily the biggest college football game of the day because it's the only one, but you could argue that to this point, it's the biggest game that has been played this season in college football. And for that reason, there could be nerves, the stakes are high, but when we talked to Marcus Freeman, he's not at all worried about his team's ability to handle the moment tonight.
Not at all. There's been no margin of error since the loss to NIU, and he even said this week, they've treated every game like a playoff game. So that was really the mindset this week that he was trying to get his team involved with. It's win or go home, and that's how it's been for the last 10 weeks.
Something I've been preaching to the guys and something that I reiterated this last week was that we've been in playoff situational games since week 3, and we understand that. And every game that we play in is a version of a playoff game in our minds. And so continue to understand that don't have any added pressure for this one that you haven't had the previous 10, right? And so our guys understand that. That's going to be the message that I continue to reiterate, and let's just focus on the way we're prepared more than anything.
Well, the Irish certainly handled that pressure time after time after time. They entered the night on a 10-game winning streak. Indiana, meanwhile, started the season with a 10-game winning streak before they had their first slip-up against Ohio State. Beat Purdue, got into this college football playoff game. They're going to have to deal with the Irish tonight, but they're also going to have to deal with the elements. We've been talking about it throughout the afternoon here. It's cold now. It will continue to drop as the hour gets later.
And one thing that head coach Curt Cignetti of Indiana said this week, he goes, I hope it snows 1.5 feet because we have a Canadian quarterback, and did you see him throw the ball against Purdue? That was just 349 yards and a career-high 6 touchdowns for quarterback Curtis Rourke, and he reiterated this week he is not fazed by the elements, especially here in South Bend.
Definitely played in some really cold games my college career. Played at Buffalo last year. That was not fun, but it was I always try to keep the mindset of not letting the environment affect me and just going out and executing and playing. And if I feel comfortable enough and what I'm wearing, there shouldn't be any issue in everything moving forward. And so I thought that Purdue was a really awesome environment, having the snow fall down and in the stadium. That was really cool. And snow games are pretty fun itself. And so looking forward to it if that's the case.
And ball security is going to be huge in this ball game. Both these teams actually rank in the top 5 nationally in turnover margin. So it's who can hold on to the ball the longest and who doesn't turn it over. It will be huge in this one.
Yep, and as far as the snow is concerned, as we bring back in Juliana, it'll look great on TV, but I don't think the people out here sitting in it are looking forward to it. So we've got to take one final timeout. We'll come back to wrap up our newscast right after this, live from Notre Dame.